God. Because if you embrace this man's truth, and his truth calls God's truth a lie. If you embrace his truth, then he will take up residence in your temple as God, sitting in there as God, because you have embraced his truth and set God's aside. Daniel chapter 7. I had this all formatted, but God got a way of
that's your plan.
So we gonna roll with it just like it is.
Amen.
Daniel 7:25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. Our president and the Supreme Court have changed the law of marriage. And the law of marriage was put in place by God. God defined marriage, okay, as between a man and a woman. And so the president and the Supreme Court changed the laws and the times. The president and the Supreme Court made dignified and glorified that thing which God has said is an abomination.
Amen.
Okay. And so if you embrace that new truth, that's new.
Amen.
If you embrace that, and you know, everybody in their own place in their life, in their relationship with God. But I'm telling you, if you embrace that as a new truth, knowing full well that that is an abomination in the eyes of God, there is something else other than God, Isaac, Jacob, sitting on the throne of your life. Because God is an abomination, and we all read that the body is a temple. God and an abomination can coexist.
Amen.
So one is going to drive out the other. And if an abomination comes into your being, into your consciousness, in your soul, God will, of his own free will, vacate the building. And when the building is vacated, it's desolate. It's in. Okay? Daniel 8:1. And through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And he shall magnify himself in his heart. And by peace shall destroy men. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without end.
Amen.
Okay. And so if you embrace that new truth, that's new.
Amen.
If you embrace that, and you know, everybody in their own place in their life, in their relationship with God. But I'm telling you, if you embrace that as a new truth, knowing full well that that is an abomination in the eyes of God, there is something else other than God, Isaac, Jacob, sitting on the throne of your life. Because God is an abomination, and we all read that the body is the temple. God and an abomination can coexist.
Amen.
So one is going to drive out the other. And if an abomination comes into your being, into your consciousness, in your soul, God will, of his own free will, vacate the building. And when the building is vacated, it's desolate. It's in. Okay? Daniel 8:1. And through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And he shall magnify himself in his heart. And by peace shall destroy men. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without end. Daniel chapter 11, verse 32. And as such do wickedly against the covenant, shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. And they that understand among the people shall instruct many. Yet they shall fall by the sword, and by flame, by captivity, and by spoil, many days. And when they shall fall, they shall be hoping with a little help. But many shall cleave to them with flatteries, and some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, and to purge, and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for an appointed time. That word covenant, an example of what is meant by that word, can be found in Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 26 through 27. And God says, through the prophet Ezekiel, Moreover, will I make a covenant of peace with them. See, that word covenant speaks of the covenant of peace that God has made with his people. And it shall be an everlasting covenant with them. And I will place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forever. My tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Ezekiel 37, verses 26 and 27. And how is that covenant going to be corrupted? By flatteries. And flatteries are just mere words, smooth words of praise that is not deserved or meant. Unjust words, words that dignify the unjust and the undignified thing. Flatteries, glory heaped upon something that God has called undignified, unglorified, and unjust. Flatteries. And the prophet Daniel goes on to say, and the king shall do according to his will, verse 36, and shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, little g, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god, little g. for he shall magnify himself above all. That was Daniel 11, verses 30. Daniel 11, verse 30 through, actually verse 32 through 37. Matthew 24, beginning with verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming, and the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. He went on to tell them, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilence, and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And he went on, and he continued on, and he said, And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then the end shall come. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. Let me tell you how to recognize a false prophet. Anybody, any pastor, preacher, teacher, evangelist, Sunday school teacher that stands up before you and tries to convince you that same-sex marriage, this new law, this new truth, is okay in the eyes of God and should be acceptable in the eyes and in the sight of those who are called by God's name, that, my friends, is a false prophet. For there is no new truth. And the words that God has declared as truth shall not pass away. Jesus said, Heaven and earth shall pass away before my words pass away. So anybody standing up there proclaiming and declaring this new truth as the truth, as a replacement for or an amendment to the truth, is a false prophet. And he went on to say in verse 15, When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whosoever readeth, let him understand.